Loredana, hello.
Hi.
Loredana Abramo is Italian by birth and has lived and worked on four continents across 30 years of project and program management and corporate program office experience. She's now an adjunct professor for online project management at the Boston University Metropolitan College, and that's Boston in the United States. Loredana is committed to sharing her experience in project management and has written and presented multiple papers, including a recent contribution to the book Responsible Project Management. She's a regular speaker on project management competency development and co-authored the excellent Bridging the Competency Gap with Rich Maltzman, with whom I've also recorded conversations for the channel. So this is Bridging the Competency Gap. This is a fantastic book, and I'm sure we'll be drawing on this for this conversation. It's her expertise on competency development that is the reason why I wanted to speak with Loredana about readiness to lead. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for your kind words.
So let's get started by defining our terms. What do you mean when you talk to audiences about readiness to lead?
Yeah. So I'm very keen on the concept of readiness. Mm-hmm. Being prepared for anything, a trip, a party, an event, could make all the difference between an enjoyable experience and a, let's say, difficult one, right? We've always been there. If I want to build a shelf, I need to make sure I have the wood, the tools I need, also some basic knowledge about what I should do to build that shelf, right? It's the basic concept behind project management.
Yeah.
A project manager works during planning to be ready to execute the project, right?
Yeah.
I think that as project leaders, we also need to get ready to lead our projects and our project teams in the best possible way. So we can deliver value, not just some project outcomes that will or will not come. You know, we all know about projects that didn't quite deliver what they were meant to deliver, but they were tremendous successes, right? I don't have to tell you about that. Now, being ready to lead means awareness. Awareness of what? First, our surroundings, the project environment, our stakeholders, right? Two, our target. What is the strategic value of our deliverables? Why are we doing this? Three, our team. How can we gain their trust? How can we empower each individual in that team to execute? Sometimes we also need to be aware of how to remove unproductive elements of that team, right?
Yeah.
Number four, our resources. Tools change continuously. Communication channels, anything we can leverage to make sure the project happens and delivers.
Yeah.
That's my definition, right?
Yeah.
It is not trivial. It requires a lot of work. Just thinking I'm a good project manager. I have a proven track record, but that's not going to help us because each project is different.
Yes.
Evolving circumstances. The project starts one way and then it moves the other way around, right?
Yeah.
I want to paraphrase Ted Williams, one of my favorite science fiction authors. It says, we can be in a trajectory of good, confident, or good, cocky, not good, dead, really not good, right? We rely on our current existing knowledge and accomplishments, and we become too comfortable. We stop learning. We sit down. Yes?
Yeah.
The next step to that is we become irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because we bring limited value to the project, to the organization, to the point where anybody can replace us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when we say, I've done this before, I have credentials, I have my piece of paper. I have a solid reputation. Everybody knows me out there.
Yeah.
What more do I need to learn?
Yeah.
Well, Our environment, as you well know, you talked about this in your channel just a few weeks ago with Dr. Dacre. Artificial intelligence, it's coming. It's going to be here soon, right? Things change. Our environment, everything changes. Our colleagues change. Our tools change. So we need to adapt, right? We need to be able to move with the times. We need to improve our understanding.
Yeah.
That means we need to continue to learn about leadership, about ways to reach out to our team, right? Motivate people.
Yeah.
How to understand and how to adjust our approach to reaching their organizational strategic goals.
I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of overlap in your thinking with the ideas that Carol Dweck puts out around growth mindset. The fact that if we believe we know everything, then we'll be out of date. And if we believe we don't know everything, then we'll have that spur towards learning the things we need to learn. So at the start of a project, you started listing some of the things we need to kind of learn about. It can be a very pressured time at the start of a project. It can be a very short a time. You can be brought onto a project and have to hit the ground running. So what are the priorities? What do you need to learn right at the start? And how can you do that? How can you carve out the time and still be effective if you've got a project running already?
Yeah, and it's true. It's very much the case. Most of my projects have been dumped into it. When who knows about charters initiation that happened 6 months ago before I joined the project. Yes, so a lot of this has to do with our ability to jump in, like you said, hit the ground running. Now, what do we need to think about? First, I would look at the specific industry. Where are we jumping into? Yeah. We all say, yes, a project manager could do anything in any industry. They are interchangeable. Well, it's true and it's not true.
Yeah.
Yes. So why is this project important? What's the background? For example, I was the deputy director of program office for a dedicated PMO in a gigantic infrastructure project in Australia. And the first thing I did was I reached out to one of the technical experts and I said, hey, Carol, can I have a meeting with you? Just an hour and a half. Tell me about this technology. Tell me what's going on. Give me the background. Yeah. So when I talk about learning, I'm not talking about a class. Yeah. I'm not talking about necessarily, the classes are great.
Yeah.
But you need to reach out in any way possible to learn more about what you're about to do.
Yeah. So, it's very much the same as my experience. You join a new project, you meet with your team leads and you find out what their expertise is. But even before you meet your team leads, you phone people up and ask about your team leads. So you know what to expect.
Give me the background.
Yeah.
My last project, I just had a long evening and a lot of Mai Tais with the a previous project manager for that project. And so tell me, what's the scoop? Tell me about it. Yeah. So I learned about each individual and how they dealt with things and what were their pressure points and so forth. So yes. So learn about the specifics of the project.
Yeah.
The other part is, so team dynamics are important. Yeah. You need to understand, what works in that team. What's the little speck of dust that is going to clog your wheels, right? Make it hard to work with that team. But also, you need to learn about your stakeholders. Mm. You had a chat some weeks ago about listening, and it resonated so much with me because communication, it's a two-way street. Often we forget and we just use our mouth and we just communicate out. We think our communication plans are, I'm telling you something, plans. Yeah. Our communication plans have to have an element of I'm really listening to you. We have 2 ears, like we say in the book, you have 2 ears for a reason and 1 mouth for a reason. You must listen. Communication in the world of project management needs to be really more about listening. Listen to the customer. One project started out with a certain technology, and then I was listening to the customer. Again, you pay attention, you listen. You just sit there and have the customer, your stakeholders, your team talk about stuff. And I found that the customer truly, truly was interested in another technology. So I went back, did some more homework, and got to the customer with a proposal. Hey, how about we add this for a price? Everything has to be no gold plating, but I listen to you and I know you want this and we can give it to you. Here's what it's going to take. What do you say?
Yeah.
That is always a good idea. At the beginning of the project, you need to be in listening mode 100%.
Yeah. I mean, listening to that, it seems to me there is actually a cultural element to this because like you're working in North America, although that's not your cultural background.
No,
I've worked mostly in the UK and Northern Europe. And these are cultures which are very transactional in the workplace. There are other cultures, and I suspect Italy is towards that, further towards that end of the spectrum, which are more about relationship.
Yeah.
And there's more of the culture about let's take our time and get to know each other and chat. And I think from what you're saying, we need to kind of adopt that mindset of the priority, if you want to get things done fast, is not to get things done. It's to
exactly.
actually take the time to build the relationship.
Understand. That's true also in Japan, for example. I worked 6 years in Japan. That was my home. It's one of my many homes around the world.
Yeah.
And that aspect is so fundamental. Understanding and showing respect for each other's opinions and each other's points of view has made all the difference.
Yeah.
Has helped me turn, what was a disgraced project, work group into the brilliant star of that gigantic program of work. Yeah. Right. So all of these impacted by the willingness to just put ourselves second, put our stakeholders, our team members.
Yeah.
One time I was really reprimanded harshly by my boss because one of my team members who was in charge of documentation management in the program wanted to do something else, and I authorized her transfer to somewhere else. I said, "You're crazy. What are we going to do about this?" I said, "Chill.
Yeah.
This person is going to be much more productive in her new role, and I'd rather have a new hire or a person that I can move in from within the team to take her spot. She will be happy to teach her, to train her, and coach her until she's up to speed. Everybody's going to be so much happier." Yeah. What's wrong with this picture? The immediate getting things done cannot come on top of long-term values and accomplishments.
Yeah.
That's my approach.
Yeah. So anything else that really we need to be focusing on learning, perhaps during the project, perhaps as we kind of move through the life cycle of the project?
Yeah, during the project, again, listening is very important, especially because guess what? Things change.
Yeah.
You start a project and your organization is structured this way.
Yeah.
Midway through the project, your organization is now this way. Yeah. And then by the end of the project, it's going to be that way. Yeah. So don't stop listening. Take the time to go to that town hall where your new boss or boss's boss is explaining, this is how we're going to move on from now on. This is our priority. Keep up to speed. Another lesson that I want to convey to everybody is don't wait to the end of the project to talk about lessons learned. Yeah. You learn lessons every step of the way. In my project meetings, every 2 weeks, everybody had to come up with, what did I learn this last cycle? Yeah. What did I not know before? I learned that I should be taking notes during the meetings because I forget all of these little things. Leaving the lessons learned to the end of the project is a fatal mistake. You know why? Because you can't do anything about that at that point.
Yeah.
You're learning a lesson for when? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe somebody else will use it. Maybe I'll remember, maybe. But if you learn your lessons throughout the project, that's when you can do something about it. Yeah. That's when you can say, oh, okay, so we need to, it's not enough to update our schedule every 2 weeks. We need to update every week.
Yeah. And I think too many people think about lessons learned. Well, for a start, too many people think, as you say, think about lessons learned as an end of project activity. But also a lot of project managers think, well, lessons learned is about helping the team to improve itself. And they forget that actually there's a lot that we can learn as project managers about if we ask the difficult questions like, how am I doing? What am I doing that's helping you? What am I doing that's hindering you? We need to stay relevant, don't we? We need to stay useful to our team and useful to our client or our boss or our sponsor as well. I think we'll come on to the idea of what we might need to learn at the end, because I think there are probably things that we can focus on, lessons we can learn at the end. But this idea that, projects are constantly changing, so we need to change as project managers. Can we go into that a bit and ask the question, what do we need to be doing to keep ourselves as sharp as we can as project managers during the project, and to stay really, really relevant to our team and to our stakeholders?
Yeah. So you're talking about VUCA, right? So volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. Yeah. All of this is happening, but it's not just happening in projects today. It's always been that way, right?
Yeah.
Every major project has had, upsides, downsides, changes. It's been all that way. The only way to manage that, it's like being in a storm, right? It's continuously big winds. What do they say? A palm tree, a bamboo, they bend before they break, right? They don't, it's not easy to break because they bend. Now, through continuous learning, we avoid the breaking. We are no longer static, rigid. Anything you study in physics will tell you a rigid structure, it's more prone to breakage than a flexible one, right? So we need to be agile. And I'm talking agile with a lowercase a. Yeah. I'm not getting into the agile, waterfall, safe, whatever. No, I'm talking about nimble, light on our feet. How do athletes keep up? They win a gold medal. Do they stop training? No. Do they train the day before the next competition? No. They keep training all around the year. Keep up learning. Keep your own personal commitment to yourself for continuous learning. That's how we stay relevant. That's how we don't become obsolete, and we can welcome AI. AI is coming, artificial intelligence. So most of our repetitive, computational tasks will be managed by tools. Hooray! Yeah. I don't have to spend days preparing a report. That's wonderful. But that means I can focus on my strategic functions, on my leadership functions. And I can only do that if I've learned how to do that well. Continue to repeat what I've done in the past, it's not going to work.
Yeah. So this kind of leads us into this kind of long-term strategy for how we're going to be managing this continual learning for our career. And I think that probably starts, well, it doesn't start at the end of a project, but at the end of a project, that's a good time to take stock of what we've learned in that project and what we want to start preparing. So how would you advocate people take advantage of their experience from a project and then build that into kind of their long-term continued learning plan?
Yeah, so I recommend that we do a SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, threats.
Yeah.
This is not just for a project or for technical work. Let's do it on ourselves.
Yeah.
What are my strengths? Where do I need to improve? What opportunities are out there for me to get better? So, and don't just do this in isolation, because I might think I'm a genius at talking to people. And then my colleague could come to me and say, you really need to improve that. That wasn't such a good conversation you had with Mary the other day. So again, listening, yes. Work with a trusted colleague, with a mentor, with a peer, somebody, and identify your new set of requirements.
Yeah.
And start your own personal project. Where is my next area of growth? What do I need to do best next?
Yeah.
Remember, you need a time limit. It's a project, finite time, right?
Yeah.
A unique outcome, finite time, and definition of done.
Yeah.
In 2 months, I want to learn about X.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take Y number of online courses, 3 online courses. You give your, and I will know that I'm done when I can answer this question, for example, or I can have a talk to my peers about this topic.
Yeah.
So you are assessing yourself, you're improving yourself, you're also enabling your organization to be a learning organization.
Yeah.
You're talking to your peers.
Yeah. And I think that's important what you said, because if you're working within an organization, there's a good chance there will be a cyclical personal development program. There'll be structures whereby you will sit down with someone above you in the line who will take you through that process.
Right.
But for a lot of project managers, we want to be in charge of our career, whether or not we're independent, as I am, or whether we're actually part of something. We should be looking at, for me, a twofold strategy. One is actually have a periodic review of your own state, but also at the end of a project, it's a brilliant time to sit down and say, right, what did I learn on this project? What do I need to learn to do better on a project like it? And what sort of projects do I want to do next? Is this the type of project I want to be doing? And when I was researching, I mean, I've not done work on competencies as you have, but I did a book on wisdom for people in the workplace. And one of the things I discovered is that the people who tend to be regarded as wise tend to have a habit of reflecting on their experiences. And as project managers, we have that real key point where we can reflect on our experiences, which is at the end of a project, or at key milestones as well. I mean, I think, if you're using a gateway process of any sort, stage gate process, you've got a brilliant opportunity there. And as you say, at a small level, we can be doing that fortnightly or monthly or weekly, depending on the cadence of our project, at every team meeting. So I think this is really important. You've alluded to artificial intelligence, but I suppose it would be remiss of me if I didn't ask you, as someone who is now at the moment a full-time educator, you're interested in competencies, you understand the whole breadth of project management. What do you think should be some of the priorities people should be focusing on now, surveying the future, to prepare themselves for the next stage of project management? The directions that project management is going in at the moment. What do you see as priorities for project managers?
I think we need to jump at every opportunity we have to learn how we can leverage this upcoming wealth that we have. I want to ride this wave. I want to know how AI can help me with my schedule updates. How can I have my reports printed, prepared, ready for me to critique, not for me to prepare? Because if I prepare the report, I'm going to be biased as I review it. I'm not going to see my mistakes. I've challenged ChatGPT the other day. I picked up a topic that I had written something about, and I gave the same parameters to the tool. I said, "What do you come up with?" And he came up with, very sensible list of things, but I could critique what the tool had prepared because I had done my homework. Because I knew that this was obsolete, this is really not applicable, or this is a good line that I could pursue further. So all of these are tools that can help us. Absolutely. If we don't learn about them and just have to deal with them when we're running our next project, that's we're going to be overwhelmed. We won't be able to, it's like when I resumed work after like a 2-year sabbatical. And at that point, the company had moved from Unix to, Windows, Excel. What on earth is this program? I type something and then it goes somewhere. I couldn't make heads or tails with it. So before I went back to work, I invested in a class.
Yeah.
That class, it was easy. In 1 week, I learned all I needed to learn. And then I became the Excel queen after that.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't struggling with learning this and learning my new team and learning my stakeholders and all of that.
Yeah.
I had taken care of something beforehand.
So artificial intelligence, we love that on this channel this year. It's our year of AI and PM. What else? Because artificial intelligence isn't the only change that's going on. It's not the only priority for project managers. What do you see as other areas we should be focusing on? Have you got a kind of mental shortlist?
Yeah, I think it's important to learn. Some people call them power skills. Some people call them people skills. Yeah. We used to call them soft skills.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we learn and research and get better at eliminating our own personal biases.
Yes.
I know that we need to rely on biases, by the way. The thinking fast, thinking slow idea. Yeah. The Undoing Project is one of the best books ever. It shows you that biases are important for us to deal with everyday life, right? I need to be able to calibrate my step as I go up the stairs. And I do that because I have an internal bias that tells me, okay, usually if you lift your leg this much, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
So those are very important biases, right? We have, our body has learned, muscle memory, we've learned how to do certain things. But if we take this muscle memory, these biases, and apply them to our team, that person went to the same school I went to, so they must be really good. I'll choose them over somebody else. This happens every day.
Yeah.
Happens every day. This person has the same history as me. We've done the same project, so they must be really good at this new function that they've never done before.
Yeah.
So how do we learn to step down our biases, to acknowledge our biases? That's what I will focus, because that means I can view people in my team with different eyes. I can, if a person comes in with hair in a certain way, I might just be tempted to say, oh, yeah, that person doesn't understand how to wear their hair, what clothes are suitable, whatever. And that will interfere with my ability as a leader to empower that person.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than this, because that person could be the key to anticipating a big problem, to solving an issue, to helping us reveal pitfalls in our plan. So we need to empower everybody. So this is, in my view, something that we all need to think about as leaders.
Absolutely. I always thought that project managers should be learning about psychology, and neuroscience now is the emerging thing for me. And I like highlighting the kind of decision skills and the bias, understanding biases and those kind of thinking traps. So that's nice. And you've introduced this point that, you never know who is going to be the one person who can solve the problem. But what we do know is that if you've got a diverse team, you've got that huge resource for problem solving, for decision making, but also, of course, for developing each other. So I think kind of the last question I want to ask you is around, how do you work with your team, with your peers, to share knowledge, but more than sharing knowledge, to develop yourselves? Because knowledge is the easy bit. It's actually figuring out how to use it. So how do you engage people? How do you leverage that peer group that you have?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something that has been the grain of sand that has around which my career, my preference in competency development has evolved. Yes. I'll just give you a quick example. Mm-hmm. Many years ago, I just got my PMP, and with some colleagues with whom I had studied, study group at work. We said, oh, how do we keep up now? We have 60 PDUs every 3 years. How do we do this? Oh, let's do something together.
Yeah.
So we looked in our database and found out that we had other colleagues with the same credentials. And we figured, well, maybe they'd be interested too. So we formed a little volunteer-based, our own time, no cost to the company, a small group. Every month, we would come up with a topic. It could be the project I'm running right now. You were talking about how do we get ready to lead while, the project is running. Well, I just encountered this. I discovered in Microsoft project, I could do this thing. And so I would give a little talk, half hour during lunch to my colleagues, peers, oh, maybe I can use that. That's a good idea. Somebody else would say, oh, I have a better one. Next month, we talk about Primavera and we do it this way.
Yeah.
And so the next week, the next month, whatever, we had another topic.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do this. And by doing this, it's grassroots initiative. Mm. It builds an organization that's learning. But you can go a step further and go to your management, which is something that eventually we did. And we said, look, you talk about competency development. Well, how about you embed in your career progression for a project manager, an engineer, an architect, to be promoted, they have to hold X number of knowledge sharing sessions, because it means they don't know, not only they're good at what they do, but they can impart that knowledge to others. Mm. And that means they have to be also listening to others.
Yeah.
So mentoring, knowledge sharing, all of these could be part of, your progression.
Yeah.
Well, what if you're not part of a big organization like I was? What do you do then? Join a community. Mm. How many communities are out there?
Yeah.
I mean, Mike, you have a pretty large community, right?
Yeah.
There's so many. You can, APM, PMI, IPMA, you name it. There are local chapters everywhere.
Yeah.
And the beauty of these is that they are cross-industry.
Yeah.
I might learn so much from somebody who's doing healthcare project management or insurance, health insurance, or manufacturing or pharmaceutical. I can learn from other industries because guess what? It's a diverse team. They have a different way of doing things. It's a different mentality. Two ideas do not, exchange one for another. They add up, right? Yeah. If I give you a penny and you give me a penny.
Yeah. It's absolutely right.
We have two ideas each, right?
One of the things that, again, came out of my research on wisdom is that whilst young people are particularly good at seeing solutions that nobody has seen in a situation, as we get older, we're also able to leverage all our experience to fabricate solutions out of past experiences. It's actually got a name. It's called bisociation. We take two different examples or two different situations or two different scenarios or two different bits, and we mush them together and we get something that's different but is useful. And that only works if we've got a deep pool of experience and a broad pool of experience. And so no experience is wasted. And I think you're absolutely right. And one of the things that was a joy to me as a consultant, and you've had a very diverse experience and career as well, is that if you're working in different industries, every couple of years you go somewhere else, it's amazing how much you learn that you're not even aware of learning.
Yeah.
And then one day you think, I have an answer to that question because I know how they do it in this area, and I can see.
Right. Exactly. You got to expand your perspective, expand your horizons.
Yeah.
And you never stop. You can never stop doing that.
Yeah.
That's how you stay relevant. That's how you keep up.
Yeah.
And that's how, you end up doing what you love doing as a project manager, not, bean counting, which needs to be done. Don't get me wrong. It needs to be done.
Yeah.
But if somehow this can be done by tools, by a person who loves that, then you can focus on leadership.
Yeah.
Helping others. And leading to me is I help you get the best you can be.
Yeah.
I help you become the more successful contributor to this team. So,
yeah. Okay, so we've kind of come to the end of the questions I had. Is there anything you'd like to add? Any last tips to throw in?
Yes. I wanted to just take a minute to say, I'm a practitioner. Most of my career has been practitioner. I've just, a few years of academia. But I know what it is, the pressure, the daily grind of being in front of the customer, of being, you got pressure from everywhere, your management, your team, that wants this is happening, and so forth. It seems impossible to find time. You can't even imagine that there could be time ever in your life for nothing else.
Yeah.
And you got to be doing this, absolutely. But if you don't stop and think it, I tell my students this every class I teach, you need to stop and think. How am I going to be doing a good job if I am using obsolete, inadequate tools, leadership tools, right?
Yeah.
Not a ruler, not a calculator, but a leadership tool. How could I do this?
Yeah.
You need to get out of the tunnel. We need to be out of the place where we focus only tunnel vision on the job at hand. We need to break that. If we don't go out and seek learning opportunities, we're going to continue to be overwhelmed by day-to-day pressure and stuff. We're going to continue to neglect our own learning needs, and we become obsolete and useless. So take 2 hours a week. If you cannot do 2 hours, do 1 hour a week, but block it in your calendar and say, this hour on this day, it's blocked, Nobody can schedule anything for me at this time. It's for me to go and watch a YouTube video, or it's for me to go and read an article. I'm going to read a chapter, 3 chapters of a book on project management. It's all online. It's all available. Do it for yourself. Do it for your career.
Yeah.
And frankly, we are at work more than we are at home. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be happy to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
I've always said, whenever they ask me, so what are you doing now? I always answer, and somebody reminded me of this just a few days ago. You always answered, I'm doing the best job in the world. That's how it should be. Yeah. Because we are learning, because we are moving. We're not standing still.
Yeah. This is brilliant. What's the best way that people can learn more about your thinking on readiness for leadership, developing yourself as a project manager, and these ideas?
Well, I am on LinkedIn if anybody wants to contact me. And
there we go. My book. There's another one. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, it's the Lego book.
Yeah, and it is a very good book. I enjoyed reading it. To me, it's a source book for ideas. It's just crammed with ideas. Every chapter introduces a number of new ideas, and there's some fantastic stuff in this. So yeah, good. All that remains is for me to say, Loredana, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Please do give us a thumbs up if you like this video. I'll be creating loads more great project management content, so please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of it. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.